That's how it happens. So I had no problem. So audience, so just waiting for more audience to join in, but I'll just reintroduce. So for today, our guest speaker is the founder and owner of Sparsh for Children. It's a center for special needs kids, especially kids with autism, and she's an expert in the field of autism, uh, Surabhi Verma. So I'll just now give, hand over the platform to you, and you can start with a small introduction and a small background, how it all started. So over to you, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. So I'm Surabhi, and I started Spark for Children, an organization that works with children with autism and other difficulties, in 2005. Before that, I had done my master's in child development and and developmental therapy in children with DP, and started working and realized that there was a big hole in when I started in 2005. Actually, I realized there was a big hole in when we were working with children on spectrum, that one center was not able to provide all the therapy. So all parents were running from one place to another back in 2001, 2003. So we had great occupational therapists working, but then the special educators were working in a different, setup completely, and it was a complete chaos at that point of time. That's when we decided that there's a need to start a therapy center, which would cater to all the areas, but most importantly, there will be a one-person contact. I mean, with children who are on spectrum, there are a lot of mixed difficulties. Like one difficulty or one symptom can be because of sensory overload. It can also be a behavior problem, and it could also be a difficulty in understanding the concept that could be leading to the whole picture. So generally, when you have multiple therapists and multiple people intervening, then everybody feels that everybody has their own point of view. So the parents get really hassled and really confused what to do. Whether it's a behavior problem, do we need a behavior therapist? Do we need an occupational therapist? Who is the right person? When you have at Sparsh, when you have one person contact, that is me. It's my job to resolve these concerns, to ensure that if it is whether it is overlap, no overlap, what is going to be the program, and how we are going to cover that program. So that was the thought that went into starting Sparsh, and the thought 20 years. I mean, we are 18 years in running now, so it's the thought has remained the same since the first day.
Right. So thank you for that. So if I talk about autism, right, I believe you deal mainly in autism, right? So
Yes.
how would you explain autism to a layman? Like, if a person generally still a majority of our society is not aware of it, and how would you
Right.
explain?
So, yeah. So that's it's autism is a big umbrella term actually, and essentially the core areas where the difficulty is are social skills and communication. These are the main core areas of problem, right? Children are unable to socialize appropriately. So I have had people saying that but my child talks, or my child goes and wants to play with somebody, wants to play with other children, and that's great, so that's what many children want to do, but how to appropriately socialize, how to appropriately respond. So that is what becomes an issue with our children with autism. So it's social difficulty, it is a communication difficulty. So we will have many children who will be singing rhymes. There will be many children who will be talking about their favorite topic. But when it comes to communicating that they want to use the washroom or they want to go to the restroom area, they would find that difficult. So they might soil their clothes. They may not communicate they are hungry, but the parent would come and tell me that the child can count 1 to 100 whenever they want to. So again, a difficulty in communication. So our children find socialization and communication with rigidities, and because of these there are a lot of rigidities. So our children will have similar type of routines every day. They would prefer that. They would get a little disturbed if there are changes, too often changes. They would not be able to communicate their feelings properly to the parents, and you will see that the play games, then the play that they have is pretty monotonous or pretty in a same. So,
Yes.
right. Yes. So, although they know how to play, a lot of children will play. A lot of children would also do, pretend play. So, I have parents saying that my child can do pretend play. So, of course, then, children with autism don't do pretend play. Now, we have to remember that that's not, again, that's not
Yes.
correct statement.
That's not a
All children
statement.
with autism,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an umbrella. So, the child may pretend play with certain things, but may not be able to, generalize that pretend play with other children when the other children come in. So that could also be there. So
Yes.
we are very careful when we are talking about children with autism, and we are talking about their diagnostic difficulties. We always use the word may, because they may be able to do this, or they may not be, so because all children with autism are very unique, so they're very different from each other. So many of our children would really focus and would really do very well. But many of our children would do really well in another area. So again, socialization, communication, rigidities to be there, but to the extent or to the level that it is there is very different from each child. Uh, so when we are diagnosing children, therefore it needs to be done by a professional, and it needs to be done
Yes.
in a correct way and format.
Right, right. I believe that, I think the Indian Medical Association, I believe they must have set some standard formats, I think, by,
Yes.
the process by which it has to be followed to actually diagnose a child with autism. So,
Yes. So there.
going on to this point, how early can parents detect this sign? Or so if you can kind of, highlight on that. How early can the signs be detected, and what should be like a red flag or something that the parents should realize and immediately start
Right.
taking action?
Hmm. Yeah. See, generally, a normal development, happens in a certain way. So by 18 months, by 19 months of age, or by the time the child has hit years, we have had many parents come in and say my son or daughter was 1.5 years, they were perfectly fine. They were responding. They were looking at me. They were, pointing. They had joint attention, and they were doing everything that that an actual 1.5 year old can do. And then suddenly something happened, and that the child stopped progressing forward. So essentially, before two, it is very difficult for us to give a diagnosis of autism. In fact, from my personal experience, I think before age of 5, we should always refrain from giving a proper diagnosis. It is, we can say that the child is on spectrum. We can say the child is at risk of spectrum, but
Okay.
proper diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder should be withheld till the child at least reaches 4 years of age. Because nowadays, if you are familiar with this term, screen autism. So
Yeah.
it's actually a virtual autism. Like children have been during COVID have been exposed to 18 hours, 19 hours of screen, which is not thinkable. I mean, they have just been on screen, woken up, and I've met parents in last 1-2 years where parents have come back and said, in COVID we didn't have anything. We just put on the mobile and we were just on our work, and suddenly 2 years we feel that our child is on spectrum. He has been diagnosed or she has been diagnosed. So I think it is too early. So we have to, and that's what I tell all parents, that start therapies. What I mean that detection and risk of autism and proper autism diagnosis can be, you can wait till 4 years, but that does not mean that you stop therapies for 4 years.
Right.
That just means you have that window period till the child turns 4 or 5. The child will continue blooming even after that, right?
Yes.
But there is a certain window period where if you give the right push, you give the right therapies, you work well with the child, there's a chance the child may be able to cover up some of the lags, some of the gaps that can later on become a big difficulty or hindrance in inclusion into various stages of life.
Right.
So yes, diagnosis I feel can wait, but interventions should
Intervention
start
should start.
soon as should start as
Sooner better.
soon as yeah, as soon as
As soon as possible. Yes, that's true. And generally speaking, that I've actually heard about a lot of school teachers. I mean, a lot of parents are actually not aware of autism until the child reaches early preschool. So a lot of kids get diagnosed or are, I wouldn't say diagnosis, are mainly like noticed at that stage of pre-nursery and preschool, play school. So and a lot of parents are under the dilemma, and obviously acceptability also comes. So I'm sure you must be facing a lot of parents. So what are the kind of myths that is surrounded by autism? कि ये होता है तो this is autism. Oh, that doesn't do this, so autism. So like some myths if you can first.
Yes. See, very common, difficulty or the myth that I see, is when parents come in कि, ये autism नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि ये बोलता है. मेरा बच्चा बोलता है, मेरा बच्चा काउंटिंग करता है, मेरा बच्चा भी, अल्फाबेट्स पहचानता है, तो और ये अल्फाबेट्स वगैरह बोल देता है, राइम्स भी बोलता है, तो ये ऑटिज्म नहीं है, right? And I have to again go back and explain that autism does not mean mental retardation. It does not mean intellectual disability. Autism and intellectual disabilities are two very different things. Firstly, we need to understand that that's also a myth that parents come in with, that means my child is never going to do anything in their lives. So that's the biggest seen that a parent, the doctor has told me that he's not going to be able to do anything, and you should just forget about him. And he's going to stay like that. Put him in a school and just forget about it. That's something that we have very commonly seen. Again, children with autism do brilliantly well if given provided the right form of background, the form of help at the right. And it can be any therapy center. Parents can do great nowadays. So yes, the other one, that when the child is speaking, and I have to explain to parents that autism does not mean they can't speak. Autism means that the children miss out the social cues on when to speak and what to speak. That's the concern. So that's great if the child is doing counting. The child can do 1 to 10. I can say 1 to 10. When I ask my child or ask your child, can you tell me what is this? Can the child respond? Can the child respond at that point of time? That's the issue. So parents will say, नहीं, आज बोल रहा है, शायद, अभी नहीं बोले, आप पूछेंगे तो शायद नहीं बोले. So the social understanding to be. And another very important myth is that children with autism don't have emotions. So again, that's very incorrect. Children have, amazing understanding of emotions. They can understand your emotions. They can, but the level of empathy that we expect from another children, or the level of understanding on how to react to those emotions, that many times are difficulty expressing. So they may be aware that you are angry. They may be aware that you're not feeling happy, but their way of expressing it may be a little incorrect, may not be socially appropriate. So we need to teach that social understanding. Also, their own emotions. Many of our children are unaware how their emotions, regulate, how their emotions fluctuate. So therefore, we see our children from, being absolutely calm 1 second to going to a very, escalated mood, take them within next 5 seconds. So again, for them to regulate their own emotions might be difficult. But do not have emotional connect, they do not connect with with people around them, would be another very big myth, which I think needs to be reconsidered and thought of. Children with on the spectrum don't do well academically. Again, I disagree with that.
Yes,
that's also a very big myth. They do brilliantly well. They are pretty smart, provided again given the right kind of help and acceptance that okay, some things they are going to do great, but there are other things that they will struggle with. Like all, I mean, we all struggle with a lot of things, and so it's true for everyone. We will struggle with some things, we'll be great in other things. So yeah, so again, they do fantastically well. Many of them would do fairly well, but provided given proper help.
Yes, the right environment, the right intervention at the right time, everything actually helps.
Matters.
Yeah. And Coming to your myths also, I also remember reading, I mean, nowadays on social media, you get to hear about a lot of undiagnosed cases. I mean, adults are
Yeah,
actually being diagnosed with autism and they are also surprised. And now they realize that, okay, why I was like this throughout? Why
yes,
were we so,
yeah.
disconnected, or maybe people didn't understand? So they are getting diagnosed at this stage,
With
probably.
their yeah, with their children, they are getting diagnosed.
Yes.
Um, so yes, because again, autism, as you correctly said, it's a range. So
Hmm.
earlier they would just say child is shy, child is introvert, ये इतना बोलता नहीं है. अभी
Hmm.
भी अगर आप जाओ रिमोट एरियाज में, so they will say सीधा है बच्चा, बहुत
Hmm.
मतलब आप इसको आराम से बुद्धू बना सकते हो, पढ़
Yes.
लेता है, सबका पढ़ता है, मगर ये सीधा है. तो ये आप ना ये तरह से बात नहीं कर पाता है जैसे आप हम और आप बात करते हैं.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those kind of things, so lot of time, when parents come, they say नहीं इसके दादाजी भी तो ऐसे ही हैं. Sometimes yes, late talkers, so parents
Yes.
की waiting 5 years कि कोई बात नहीं, बोल देगा, 5 साल पे बोल देगा, नहीं तो
Hmm.
6 साल पे बोल देगा, हम बोला था तो ये भी बोल देगा. And sometimes mothers come and say कि इसके दादाजी को मैं देखती हूँ ना, तो वो भी ऐसे अपने
Ah,
खाने से
yes.
मतलब रखते हैं, अपने पीने से मतलब रखते हैं, और अपना काम हो जाता है, किसी से दो बातें भी नहीं करते प्यार से पलट के. So
Hmm.
you see those things quite often running in the family as well.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Yes. So basically, yes. So they are getting diagnosed, and now probably with more awareness, and that's why we are able to, even the people themselves who were undiagnosed earlier are able to
yes, yes,
understand why their life is like this, why they were like this,
yeah,
or how nobody understood them.
yes.
So
And we also have to see that grow out of autism. If you have autism, it's there for life. Like weak eyesight or black hair or brown skin or white skin. It's going to be there forever,
yes,
right?
yes.
So yes, it as adults it helps you understand how to manage relationships. It
Mm.
also gives closure to the other partner. I think
Yes.
that why my wife is like that.
Mm.
Why can't that connect, with my wife or with my husband? So
Husband.
it gives you a closure and it makes you understand and accept the other person.
Yes,
So I
definitely.
that a diagnosis at whatever age, it doesn't matter. Diagnosis is something that's very important.
Yes.
And for you to accept that, yes, there is a difficulty, or I'm different. And that's about it.
Yes, yes, yes. And also, I remember there is one very common question that happens in most of the cases when the child is first diagnosed or they start. Yes, the first time the child is diagnosed, the first question that comes to the parents' mind is कि ये ठीक हो जाएगा ना?
Right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Very common
Yes.
question.
What's the cure?
What
Is
is
there a medication
कैसे ठीक हो
for
जाएगा?
that?
ठीक हो जाएगा ना? ये ठीक तो हो जाएगा ना? It's like as if the child has a fever or
Yes.
maybe some disorder or something. It will just, you apply some medicine or some cream and maybe with the.
And and I think it is part of processing the information, because now, yes, I agree, autism has become a very common term. We have movies based around people with autism. There are many Netflix series that you can see
Yes,
with
yes.
actual
Many.
people, and
Mhm.
and being part of those series. So awareness is more now.
Yes.
But yes, at one point in time when the awareness was limited, there was social pressure. There is a lot of social pressure on mothers, especially. So so it becomes becomes the most important question कि ठीक मेरा बच्चा
Mhm.
ठीक कैसे हो जाए.
Exactly.
But it's part of growing up with autism that eventually, slowly and steadily, I personally feel that we all grow with as the difficulties, and the moment and that makes that's what makes the whole thing worthwhile. That whenever the child takes a small step, the
Mm.
mother calls and child responds, or the first time the child speaks to the mama or says mama, and the parents' eyes light up, and so I also feel pretty extremely motivated at that point of time,
Yes, yes.
and then parents realize कि ठीक है, the definition of ठीक हो जाएगा
Mm.
suddenly comes in context, for the parents
Yes.
also, it starts coming in the context that
Yes.
what do you mean by ठीक हो जाएगा.
Yes. So
So
that
I think
actually
it's
starts making sense. That actually starts making sense.
yeah,
What do you mean by theek ho jayega? And I think in autism, the thing is just basically looking at the small baby steps which
Yes.
actually reach up to the which actually you should count the baby steps actually,
Ex-
not a big milestone immediately.
Right. Yes. Totally. I agree with
Yes, so that's definitely true. And if talking about Sparsh for children, if you can share some effective strategies or interventions, what kind of programs do you have over here to support autistic kids?
children with autism. Yeah. So we generally, when parents walk in with their children, we look at the history. First meeting, we just talk. Let the parent be there, but understand where parents are coming from. What are the concerns that parents have? And first, generally to put parents at ease. That okay,
Yes.
let's think how now you know what is there. We know where is the difficulty. Now let's think what are the right ways to how we can reach the ultimate goal, and what are the different paths that you can take. And then for parents to eventually come with their own decisions, make up their own decisions. So we generally, when children come in, if they're young, and a lot of children with spectrum have sensory dysfunction. So we generally have first sensory dysfunction. I personally feel, if not handled early on, then can lead to eventually build in a lot of behavior issues that later when we talk about behavior modification program करना है, and अब ये कराओ, अब ऐसे करो, अब ये problem आ गई है बच्चे के अंदर. So they're essentially unresolved sensory dysfunction that has stayed like that for a long period of time. So therefore, the first and foremost step that we suggest at Sparsh is starting occupational therapy, starting sensory education for children. Once that has been put in place, the second step is not therapy. Most parents come to me with saying, "बस ये बोल पड़े." That is all we want. But autism is single-handedly the only disorder in which bolna and language are two very different areas. The child can say numbers, as I mentioned earlier, can say numbers, but they will have difficulty, saying khana de do. They will have difficulty
Putting a full
understanding
sentence in an appropriate sentence as per the appropriate situation. That is where the challenge lies.
challenge lies. So speech is not the concern. The concern is the language. The concern is the vocabulary. So that's what I explain to parents when they come in, that if I start talking to you right now in German, you would not understand what I'm talking to you. Right? You have speech, you have full intelligence, you're not on the spectrum, but you will still not make sense. My speech will not make any sense to you. And the same thing is happening for our children on spectrum. So till we don't build the vocabulary, we don't build the language curriculum in place, speech is not going to happen. So speech has to. Some children, once you start giving them vocabulary, they start understanding instructions, they start following commands, the speech automatically comes. For other children, we then start with speech therapy as well. So essentially, first is therapy, then we start with the language special education programs, and we also have social skill groups. Because as you know, the area or concern is even special education programs or programs that we conduct. The very first program has greetings as a goal. The child has to go to different teachers sitting in different rooms and start greeting them. It is part of growing. It is part of developing the social skills. But eventually, after 6 months or 8 months within the therapy, individual therapy, then we start to put children into a play group where they learn social skills, they learn turn taking, they learn sharing, they learn sharing food, how to take turns, how to play with friends, what are different games to play. So those kind of things are taught to them. Social skill groups are also very important and
Right.
something that we do at
Right.
Sparsh.
What do you and also what would you suggest for what kind of remedies are there for? Okay, obviously, like as you said, speech is not the concern, the language is the concern. But what about kids? There are a lot of kids on the spectrum who are non-verbal, and I think they tend to remain non-verbal because of their
Yeah.
the
Difficult
spectrum that they're on. Yeah. So what kind of uh, what kind of
programming.
intervention, yeah, program rather would be advisable for them?
See, again, because that's the primary goal is language. You build the language even through with non-verbal language, they can communicate. Goal is to communicate. So we sometimes use specs, picture communication, for children who have been non-verbal, but essentially the goal is to build in pointing, is to build in pictures, to exchange, to communicate their sentences or communicate what they want. So that kind of thing for children with non-verbal. But and especially, yes, communication comes in pretty early in our programs, so at least they can nod or they can point to the word yes when a parent asks them a question. That the awareness of their emotions, awareness of their body interoception, that is also a part of our OT program. So that builds in, that process builds in pretty early on. So even if you're non-verbal, communication still is the priority. That
Yes,
program
yes.
is still, so
Right.
to follow instructions, to follow and understand, so that becomes still a priority.
Right, right. So I think I am done with my questions more or less. So let me just see if we have any questions. I think, yes, somebody has asked, what is the cure for autism?
Right. Cure for autism is pure therapies, accepting,
Hmm.
first defining what do you mean by cure. Because many times for us or for the parents, the cure also means ये अपना काम खुद कर ले. Right. Yes, school
Independent. Yes.
independently chala jaye. So
Hmm.
first, write down cure. What does that mean for you?
Yes.
Everything is not going to happen in one day. 1-year-old, 2-year-old children also grow step by step.
Yes,
Also
definitely.
grow step by step. Their journey may be different or maybe better. I'm
Hmm.
not saying it's got to be better or anything. It can be better than maybe younger children also. We have
Yes,
had kids
yes,
who have done phenomenally well in their lives.
yes.
Now they are that students I started with are in
Hmm.
college, now they're in the workforce, a big part of companies, and they're doing phenomenally well. And they are
Yes.
on spectrum. Autism spectrum है, but autism spectrum जाता नहीं है, so it is going to stay there forever. But yet, find what do you mean by normal, what do you mean by
What is
cure,
your definition of
and
normal?
what is definition for you at this point of time. क्या skill sets उनमें से अगर आ जाएंगे, so you will feel happy about that, and then let's work towards those skill
Hmm.
sets, achieving. So
Yes,
that,
yes. Because every child has a separate milestone actually.
yes, exactly. For regular children, everybody has
Yes,
different milestones, different
yes,
sets.
yes.
To so now, up to we are in a society where they don't judge. They're not given grades till fifth grade. Let the
Hmm.
children grow at their pace, and that's true for our children as well. Let them grow at their own pace. In fact, US has removed the word disorder. They now call it condition. So it is called autism spectrum condition. It's not called
Yes,
it more.
yes,
So as
yes.
I say, that's just the way it is.
Hmm.
So you have to just accept that.
And how as a society, like as you said, I mean, the US obviously is becoming, and I think with the awareness growing, all the nations are becoming much more and more forthcoming. But still somewhere, I mean, in the if we talk about Indian society, there is still a big lack of awareness and understanding. Basically, I mean, one is being aware of just the term, but not exactly understanding it fully as like so how you explained it in the beginning, there is no particular label or definition or no particular symptom that, okay, this defines that, yes, you are on the spectrum as such because it's varied. But how can we as as people like you who are actually, helping out special needs people who are helping out autistic kids and their families, how can we and or how can we as a society grow to accept them, like what can we do to be more, I would say, more welcoming to them or more inclusive to them?
Uh, See, I personally feel that when we as bystanders lack information, we are very quick to judge
Mm,
people,
yes,
right?
yes,
It's very quick. Bad parenting. How in Insta, you can just click and put a heart there, put a thumbs down there, everything. Our life has become like that.
mm,
We look and we judge. We look and we judge. So
yes,
that's thing we have to take away. They're just children, and the child may be jumping and the child may be screaming. The
mm,
right way would be just asking mother
mm,
or the caregiver, do you need, can I be of any assistance?
yes,
If the caregiver says no, walk off. That
yes,
is okay. If the caregiver asks for help, just give that much help. That should be okay.
mm,
But just standing there making a reel out of it is not going to help.
And being
So
judgmental.
yes, let's not judge. First thing, and definitely going and just asking, we should not hesitate. We should not feel that, what are they going to think about me? So first thing is just going and saying that, can I help? How can I tell me? And if the mother or the caregiver is coming up, needs some help, give them, otherwise just back off. And it's
Yeah,
so,
that's it. Just give the
yeah,
space. Just give the space.
give
That's it. If
their
you can't
space.
do anything, it's
Not
better to, not, at least don't do anything negative or don't
negative,
judge.
and don't stare. And you can tell
Mm-hmm.
people also that carry on. So that way, yes. And yes, one more important thing, our children are everywhere. They are in regular schools,
Yes.
in your classroom. So if you're a mother of a neurotypical child, invite children for birthday parties. They may behave differently, but just getting that invitation is a boost to the mother. It's
Yes,
a
yes. Big. It's a big
uh,
one.
it's a big incentive.
It's a big
So
incentive, yes.
yeah, so I personally feel that, play dates with them, just inviting, they may appear odd, they may not even play properly, but
Mm,
just being there, eventually they understand how neurotypical works.
yes.
If we call ourselves superior, we are not, that's what we say, हमको तो सब आता है, तो normal. But
Exactly.
हमें ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा कि एक बच्चा जिसको डिफिकल्टी है सोशल कम्युनिकेशन, को
Mm,
मैं अपने घर पर इनवाइट करके उसके साथ थोड़ा टाइम स्पेंड या अपने
yes.
नॉर्मल बच्चे का थोड़ा टाइम स्पेंड कराकर उनको कुछ नहीं होगा. I mean, they will not turn into difficult children, but it
Mm,
is a positive environment to our children also who are normal. They will also understand and respect in society altogether, respect differences altogether in
yes, yes.
society. The children on spectrum will get a positive play buddy to be with.
Exactly. And I think we'll
So
grow as a society. As a society also we'll grow because if
yes,
we are able to be more open and more
yes,
inclusive to the different kinds of these are all different, as you said, condition, right? They're not disorders, they're all conditions. So if we are
right,
more welcoming to the conditions, I think as a society also we are lifted much
right.
more.
Yes, and we would our the next generation would be more sympathetic, understand it
Yes,
better.
exactly, exactly. Yes,
The
yes.
other side also exists. There
Hmm.
are children who are different. There are, so as they grow older, they will appreciate differences. When they are working
Yes.
workplace, help them become more. They'll develop better soft skills.
Hmm.
So I think it's a win-win for both.
Yes.
So that is something which is, I think, major thing you
Yes,
should.
so major changes are required actually in the society. Even the people who are already adults, who
Right.
are autistic adults and who are actually navigating in society, they still find a lot of difficulty. They are facing a lot of difficulty.
Yes.
I've seen in a lot of groups and they actually venting it out that, I mean, what is probably normal to you is not normal to me because I am not able to vent out the way you do.
Yes. Exactly. True. And that's why, there are and let's not stop it at autism. I mean, everybody, so that's why we have sometimes very disgruntled employees or
Yes.
disgruntled bosses who are not able to vent, who are not able to communicate properly.
Mm.
So it's just the way we are. It's a social communication gap, and we need to all, grow as a society and understand people have differences, and it's all right. Still
Yeah.
the work has to go.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. So I think we have one question from Madhu. What are the steps to follow from start? 5-year-old can't speak.
Okay, all right. So the first thing you need to do is figure out, what are the baseline skills that your child already has. What are the sensory dysfunctions if the child has? If the child has sensory dysfunction, you need to start getting those corrected. Step one. Step two, you need to ensure that the child starts building vocabulary. Child starts understanding. Language program needs to come in. The child should be able to follow commands, not only from you and in the house, but from other people also in the environment. They should be able to follow commands. They should be able to relate to you, right? Vocabulary, they should be able to recognize things by name. Till they don't do that, speech therapy is not going to be effective. Okay,
Yes.
so they need to have at least 40-50 words of vocabulary. And I mean, if there are 20 things on the table and from the distance you tell the child, go and get XYZ, go and get a water bottle, and the child is not thirsty, child is not looking for a water bottle, and still they can do that, go and pick that up. Once they can do that, that's when the child is ready for speech therapy. Before that, the child is not ready. So therefore, any child who can't speak, you have to start proper occupational therapy and language therapy, right? And then see how you build it from there.
Right. So thank you for that. And I think there are no more questions. I'm also done. So one last request from my side, if you can, give us give a, some nice message for our audience and for general public, something to take home.
Yeah, sure. See, as I said, let's respect differences. That's very important. Respect who we are. Let's be comfortable with who we are, and also let the children with difficulties feel comfortable in their presence. Let's not judge quickly, and if we see somebody in trouble in metro or on or in the movie hall, just asking or helping out would be a great thing to do. And I think I think we're doing great.
Thank
So
you.
walk the talk, just not talk about it, just also, do it in your environment, and encourage your children to, talk to children or help other children in the class who are struggling. Just talk to your children about them, those children, and how, help your children come up with things, how they can help these particular children who are struggling in their class, irrespective of the difficulty that they might have. So that way, building in sensitivities is something that needs.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Very good message. And audience, if you have, if you see a child, or maybe in the family, who you feel, you think might be on the spectrum, or you think might be facing some difficulties in, developmental milestones, do visit their page, Sparsh for Children. They are based out of New Delhi. And you can always reach out to her. She's Surabhi Verma. She's the owner, right? And I am I'm into fitness, and for moms especially, so special needs moms, if you need to take care of yourself, please focus on your fitness. So I am in that space. You can always send out a message or a DM, visit my page. And anyways, thank you everyone, for all the people who joined, and thank you, Surabhi, for your time and for such a wonderful show. And we actually got a lot of information. So thank you once again. So thank you. So we'll wrap it up for today. And thank you once again, everybody. And keep watching out for more such shows. Thank you.